Howdy, howdy, howdy. We are here for day 16. Can't believe it's going that fast. Want to encourage you today to engage in conversation. Now, obvious to the most casual observer, that's fairly easy for me. I do understand that there are some people out there who it's very tough to engage in conversation. It just is uncomfortable for some people. So the challenge is more for you to, there's got to be someone out there that you've wanted to visit with, wanted to talk to, but are just afraid of. So take that leap of faith. Something great could happen from it. So today, as you know, December 7th is Pearl Harbor Day. The only Pearl Harbor story that I really have came because I engaged in conversation with someone. For those of you that live in this area, you know that several years ago, Walt Disney World Pictures came and filmed the movie National Treasure 2, Book of Secrets. Well, my wife Nancy was working at Mount Rushmore at the time and happened to be assisting on that movie set. So several different times we did go get to watch them film. One of the days was when they were actually filming right over the top of Mount Rushmore, which if you're in aviation world, you know that's a no-no. You can't fly over national monuments like that, and there's all these restrictions. But it was awesome to talk to that guy, the pilot, because he was flying his helicopter all around the heads and up and down, and it was just remarkable talking to him. And as we were visiting, I asked him about his piloting skills, when he learned, how he learned, all of that, because some of you may or may not know that my brother and I share a little Cessna 150. Now, don't be all impressed with that we own an airplane, because a Cessna 150 is tiny. I mean, you don't get in and out of a Cessna 150. You put it on and you take it off. Okay? So we were just visiting about learning to fly and the rules and regulations, and I asked him, that pilot, if he did any more recreational flying, because he flies for work all the time. And he kind of giggled at me. He said, "Dwayne, I don't fly any recreational flying anymore because I would have to follow the same rules that you have to follow." And he said, with my job, I get to fly right down the city streets of LA and New York City, and I get to fly underneath the bridges and over the top of Mount Rushmore. So we started talking about all of the cool things that he's done and the places that he has got to fly to. And I asked him what is the most favorite movie that he has ever filmed. And you know what he told me? He said, Pearl Harbor. That was my favorite film by far, because he said what was awesome about it was we were directing the United States Navy, the Admiral of the United States Navy, on could you put that ship over here and move this ship over this direction and face this one this way. So he said it was just this magnificent playground that they got to direct and film that movie. So, of course, after talking to him, I went back and watched Pearl Harbor, the movie. So it's just interesting how that conversation came out of just being brave enough to walk up to someone and visit with him instead of being scared and reserved about it. Because people we all put on our pants just the same, right? No one's better than anyone else, and so it's fun to do that. Now, sometimes that can backfire on you just a little bit and create a little bit of an embarrassing situation. And here's what I mean by that. Because, as I said, Nancy was helping out with the film permit at Mount Rushmore. And the director was John Turteltaub, right? So they were shooting this scene where the FBI was arresting someone, and Nancy was watching that, and she was standing right by John, the director. And when they finished the scene, they cut, do whatever they do, and say the words. And John turned and he looked at Nancy and he goes, "What? What?" And she goes, "No, nothing. And he goes, "No, it's something." And so Nancy said, "Well, they didn't arrest that person the right way. Because if you come up behind them the way that they did," and she described how they arrested him versus how she's been trained, and she's been a federal officer for all those years. So John, the director, said out loud, hold on, Nancy don't like the way we filmed this. So he said, we're going to redo it. Then he looks down at Nancy and he says, this better work. And so they refilmed it. They did it the way that she had been trained and told them how to do it. And then when he finished with that, he said, well, that was $100,000 worth of film wasted, because they did do it the way that Nancy had suggested. So it was kind of funny, because at the end of the movie, after they left and everything, they sent her a director's chair that we still use every day in our house from National Treasure 2. And the back of it says Nancy Martins. Now, I haven't been listening quite as good as the director has, but maybe I should take a note on that if the director's listening to her, maybe I should once in a while. Things might smooth out, around here a little. But anyway, challenge you to talk to some people, because here's some cool things I'll just rattle through real quick on some people that I've met, because I've just been brave enough to go up and talk with them. One of them, the first person that I can think of, was we were in the Starkey Hearing Foundation in Minneapolis. My son Cody is part of that program, and there was a very famous businessman in there, and as you know, I read quite a bit, so I had some of his books. He's very famous for writing the book called Swim with the Sharks, and one is Beware the Naked Man Who Offers You His Shirt, and the other one is called Dig Your Well Before You Get Thirsty. His name is Harvey Mackay. Run a big envelope system in Minneapolis, etc. So the boys and I got to meet him in Minneapolis at that place. And he's the one that said, hey, how about a picture? So it was cool to get to do that. Then another time when we were in Yellowstone Park, and like him or not, he was still the President of the United States, Bill Clinton. And that was pretty cool to get to meet someone that was at that time the President of the United States. And then a few years ago, I went to the Day of Excellence that I've talked about before with my book, and I got to meet Rudy. If you haven't seen the movie Rudy, you need to watch Rudy, because it's an awesome movie. So I got to meet Rudy. And then what happens, what I do or choose to do when I meet someone that I like, is I will send them a photo with the marker in the envelope, and I'll send it to them. And if they send it back, awesome, I got an autographed picture with them. If they don't, no big deal. I have the original picture. My favorite picture of all, with someone that I had the strength to go visit with, is one of my heroes. He is the reason why I have such an amazing life and family and love for lots of things, and that is Zig Ziglar. Anything that you can get your hands on by Zig Ziglar is gold. I love the guy. I love everything he stood for. I have most every product he ever owned or created. So anyway, those are just some of the great things that can come your way if you just go converse with people. And that's what we're doing now. So I appreciate you tuning in. You guys are just amazing. So thank you for the feedback. Tonight, just tell me who's someone that you've wanted to engage with that you're around, or that you wish you would have when you had the chance to, or a challenge, what you're going to do as a result of this, because you can do it. I mean, they're just people, right? Have an awesome night, and we will see you tomorrow, day 17. 1,000 thank yous. Good night.